This is the Grey Area Podcast, talking all things rap and hip-hop from the UK to across the pond. The facts are black and white, but our opinions are somewhere in the middle. We're about the music, not the gossip. Positive more than negative. Quality over quantity. Substance is worth more than clickbait.
How we came to our top 10, we all came together and made our own top 10, and then there was an aggregate score for whoever voted whatever higher. So say you'll get a certain amount of points for if you voted them first, second or third. That made our top 10. Obviously there were some dubious picks in there, but we'll go through it because I'm not happy with one of the picks that it almost missed the top 10, but we'll go right through it, man, because I'm telling you, it's going to be an all-out war in this episode.
Hang on, what missed that you're unhappy about?
No,
It's begun, man.
Oh no,
it's begun already.
Here we go. It's not that it was missed. It was that it almost missed, and I had to write.
My bad.
To get my boy in, Kalashnikov.
My bad.
Don't
They both made it. They both made it. So we've actually got 11, but oh well.
I mean, that wasn't the plan, though, was it? Like, let's just be honest. Like,
No.
some things just ended up, clashing. We can't help these things.
Yeah.
To be fair,
Yeah,
there's a lot of decent albums anyway out there, and it was just everyone's choices, and it all came together. So we'll see what the list is. To be honest, looking at the list, it kind of worked out well, especially the top 5. I feel
Worked out well for who? Not for me.
well. Yeah, that is true.
Yeah, but
That is true.
did not work out well for me at all.
God. We'll get to that.
Yeah, we have to. Because,
Yeah, we'll get to it.
Oh my god.
We'll drop
I've
the
got a
honourable
problem with
mentions in.
Sam's-
I got shafted, mate. You guys just.
I've got a problem with your list, though.
You got a problem with my list. Listen, first of all, yeah. You
Wait,
guys
Sam,
need to
just share
email-
your list. Share
Nah,
your
you
list.
guys
Share
need to
your
email
list.
Sean
I have
at
a
the
bone
Guardian.
to pick. Just say it.
Nah, you need to email Sean at the Guardian
God.
because obviously his list is the only list that mattered, apparently, according to Kieran.
Wait.
Theo's list was calm too.
My list was about stuff that you could listen to in 10 years from now and you would still want to hear. So, yeah, my list was this is in order, or technically in order. I didn't really try to order it. J Hus Common Sense, Skepta Konnichiwa, Gets Conflict of Interest, Kano Hoodies All Summer, Jeremy Integrity, Wretch 32 Growing Over Life, Gigs Landlord, Jest the Dragon of an Ordinary Family, Jesus Christ, couldn't even say that, Cass is Dead, the number 23, and MIA AIM, or AIM, I don't know how she's saying that. But yeah,
Look, nah. On paper, that sounds hard, and I like all of those albums a lot. But I feel like
You're missing some OGs.
you just got to look obviously, yeah, like in context of the albums, like you see on the aggregate list.
yeah, but I'm not doing it from the
Nah.
perspective of these are the best albums because they were critically acclaimed, like Mr. at the Guardian did, or you know what I mean, or Mr. Copycat List did. These are albums that I think 10 years from now,
Nah.
people can listen to and understand what UK music was and is. All these other wishy-washy, poorly mixed, you know what I mean, fucking label pushed albums that you guys have aggregated into this. Don't know about that. I don't know about that. Do you know what I mean? There's one in here that
You've got the most commercial albums, though.
it's not commercial because
what do you
the
mean
music
label
has
push?
become popular music. So it's not Heatwave. It's not bloody Boy in the Corner. That's a commercial album. If we're gonna start talking about what commercial means, or a commercial artist is, these are people that have stayed loyal to the soil and won't be swayed by them big boy bucks. They've always been doing, and they will always do what they want. Now, as for this other list, you know what I mean? What I'm going to say is there might be some tears in it and some of you might need to dry your eyes, mate.
To be fair, no, I actually think going on that pun, I think you're quite correct because listening to that album again, man, I don't know if The Streets belong in the top 10. I'm just gonna
He's
say
so
that
high
right
up
now.
because certain people
Just gonna say that right now.
had the same list. You know, like in the test where you
yeah.
copy the person over to the right and they've got the wrong answer, so you both failed the test. That's what happened here.
Yeah, I don't think The Streets.
Wait,
will be in
are you
the top
talking about
10.
me?
I'm not
Oh,
gonna lie.
yeah, of course I'm talking about you.
Oh. No,
I know
was listening to that
what they
album
did,
just
and
now, baffled.
Yeah, I know what they did. I know that they were like
There was
they
corroboration.
brought a different
Hang on,
they brought a different feel
hang
to it.
Hang
And
on,
I
hang
know
on.
Mike Skinner's done a great thing, but listening to that album, nah, for me, I don't think it should be in the top 10.
Top
That's just-
10.
Wait, let's start with the two that scraped it. Let's start with 11 and 10.
See what he's
Or
done.
10th.
See what he's done. Let's
Yeah,
see
no,
what the.
he's ready. Let's go. I mean,
Let's
I'm ready,
go.
man.
Let me speak on an album that I didn't pick, yeah, but I have listened to and I have digested with conscious thought, right? So here we go. I've got my little monologue ready. I'm doing what Kieran won't because, you know, why not? So Kalashnikov, it's the Sagas of, a great album. It feels dated. It was released in 2004. Does this represent UK music, or is it just old school hip hop with a decent UK MC on it? No. Is it timeless? No. But the bars are hard. The flows are very ahead of their time. There's a reason why he's never blown up, and I don't want to say why, but I will. He's limited.
No, say it. Say it.
I said it. He's
You
limited.
got to say it. You got to. Yeah,
I
you
said
gotta
he's
say it.
limited.
Yeah.
Compared to what came out here in the UK at that time, that is top tier work from a production standpoint and from a bar standpoint, right? But compared to the global market, it offers nothing unique. All that said, it may be the first UK rap album that has moments that are tied together through some skits that actually works. It's the best all-round album from the period where grime was big. But this is not UK music for me. And the best song on that thing is Paradise. It shows all his skills at their best.
I actually
Yeah,
believe
I
that.
have nothing to
No,
add
no,
to
that was well said. That was well said, because don't get me wrong, I'm not going to sit here and say, oh yeah, it's absolutely perfect, because I've got the cons of the album, and to be honest with you, Sam's kind of outlined it, and I know why it's not blown up myself, because with all that skill and quality, he is a bit limited to actually hit the market in a way where other artists have been able to take that graft and actually blow up so people know about him. Because if you ask people who Kalashnikov is, they might not know who he is. So, I'm well
Leo,
aware.
you said in the chat
Yeah.
that your boy Kalashnikov still sounds relevant. That album. What did you mean by still sounds relevant?
Quotes.
Why is that funny?
Man came
Because
with
it's
quotes of what Theo said.
still sounds because if you listen to some of the bars, some of those bars still carry over today, so you can take some of that today and the message still is coming across.
I don't know. He did say Nang one time, and that took me out of the album. He said Nang, and I was like, oh my God, I'm back in 2005.
So you're referring to the bars. You're referring to the content.
I'm referring to the content, because I can understand why someone won't like it. To be honest with you, with Kalashnikov and with that album, what I'm looking for, why I think it belongs in the top 10, is his lyrical ability. Like lyrically, from top to bottom is unbelievable, and the level that he's at is ridiculous compared to other artists. I'm not going to say there's better albums. Do not get me wrong. I'm not going to say that there's not other better albums. Like, I could name a bunch of albums that are better than that, but I believe he should be in the top 10 because what he lyrically could do on a piece of work. There was even a line where he said like he's Picasso when he's putting pen to paper, and he literally is with some of his lyricism. So it's mainly the content for me. Yeah, I just believed he deserved a mention because he did help.
So you
some
put
of the
him
people
number
who
one.
have done that. Well, I had to.
We had to
Makes
weight our
sense.
list according to what
had
you
to.
guys have done. This top 10 is basically
don't, but-
not mine and
yeah.
Theo's choice. It's just you and Kieran's choice.
Exactly.
It's do you know what it is, right? Do you know what it is? Yeah, I'm gonna speak the truth. Yeah, I'm gonna speak the truth. I'm not mad at what's made the top 5, to be honest. But past the top 5, I am not responsible for what's going on there, boy. So I'm not responsible. I don't like any of these albums too tough. I don't think they belong in the top 10. Some of the songs that just missed out, some of the albums that
Sam, I need to interrupt you though, because
Go
the
on.
top 5 you voted for a lot of the stuff.
I said the
still.
top 5 I'm not mad about, but past that, that doesn't
past
represent
that.
me.
Oh.
That doesn't represent me, man. Like when I say it doesn't represent me, it just doesn't feel like they belong there.
Fair enough, I can see that.
Before we move on to the other joint 10th pick, I just want to say with Kalashnikov, I like that album, and I think he was a very skilled rapper. I can't speak for his overall career because that's kind of like the only stuff I know. But my big thing with it was that, you know, other than It's Murder's a timeless record. It made waves over in America, you know, fair enough. And there are other, like I said, I like the songs, and there are I think he's a very talented rapper. The content's on point. It's relevant today. But I was listening to a lot of these beats thinking this is 90s boom bap, primo. And when you said about relevant feel, I know you've clarified it now, but when you were saying relevant, I was thinking, what rapper, UK or US, raps over them beats now and you know,
That's what I'm
develops a
saying.
following
It's just
or sparks?
It's
No,
just
I know.
It felt
American
very
music.
dated for me.
It's just
Yeah, but
American
that's-
music.
And that's the
Yeah,
other thing
yeah.
as well. It felt
And that's
the
why
only
it's not
difference
blown
is,
up.
and I'll come onto it in more detail. Like, you know, UK hip hop up until around this point, really and truthfully, didn't have like authenticity or, you know, it didn't feel English. It didn't feel British until a different artist that we'll come on to. There are big names that, you know, are very sort of influential and whatnot, but the music really, and if you listen to like UK hip hop in the 90s, it was a lot of it was just guys from like London and the surrounding counties rapping over knockoff Primo and, you know, Dr. Dre beats. It wasn't really UK. And whilst this guy took it to another level with the lyricism and the content, the production just don't stand up today, and it doesn't sound UK like Sam says.
It doesn't feel authentic. That's exactly what I was thinking the whole time I was
Exactly.
listening to it. Only the skits felt authentic.
But that's why he's not blown up. If you want to know why he's not popular, that's why. That's why. Remember, in the picture, I was trying to say, I couldn't say that's grime. It's not grime. It's not UK music. You don't get that sound of this is British culture. You can't put that album on and think, oh, this guy's from the UK. It doesn't sound like that at all. He sounds like he's just, like you said, rapping over US beats, and it's the prime reason because guess what? We'll mention it, but Dizzy released his album a year earlier before that, and look how, because that was so, for what you can get, that's raw, harsh, like sort of British sounding music, it was different, wasn't it? Whereas this, he couldn't really blow up from this, and then he fell behind everybody else because then more people followed, and that sound of grime then developed, didn't it? So then people knew what British urban music was, and that grew, and Kalashnikov couldn't get on that wave, hence why he's not blown up. Simple.
Yeah. But to keep it positive though, what I will say is another reason why I think is some of the stuff he was saying was so honest and so raw that I don't think record labels wanted to touch him. There's some pretty like hard hitting stuff that he says in here that I don't think a lot of you know, A&Rs and, you know, labels really wanted to associate with. He wasn't, you know, he wasn't holding back at all with some of the stuff he was saying, especially with the skits and whatnot.
I think he was trying to be conscious to a degree, because even the name of his album collective, but you know, his group Kemet, like it's all about like Egyptian stuff and all that kind of thing. So maybe realistically, yeah, he's just one of those outsider artists that should have blown up that never did. Like an
I do
Immortal
hear
Technique.
influences. I hear him in people like Loki and Akala, people like that.
Yeah, but who listens to those people? No offense to them, but you know what I mean?
It's fair enough. But I mean, it's not like I don't think he kind of came and went. Do you know what I mean? I think he has had an impact in the sense. But yeah, that's why I'm not trying to put you on the spot or anything, but that was like my main gripe. And fortunately, Sam said it as well. But I'm glad he's got a mention. I'm glad he's sort of in the mix. But the other album.
I had a question though, just
go for it.
Yeah, go ahead.
You said that Kalashnikov influenced Getz and Kano for you.
Yeah.
And in what way? Is that like a
no?
quote?
I think no. It's not. It's not like a quote. It's like the lyrical content. It's what I hear, and you know how they both got sort of Jamaican. All three of them have got sort of Jamaican roots, and putting that sort of culture into their music. That's what I meant, influence-wise. Can't say he completely influenced them, but you know how like Getz and Kano touch upon that Jamaican culture in their music. I can hear that influence from where Kalashnikov did it, from where Roots and Nava have got it from, and that's what I meant. If you understand that,
Yeah.
So is this your interpretation? It's not like on record.
No, it's not on the record.
Oh, okay.
I just interpret it like that myself. Yeah.
Because my thing, I always found like grime derives more from obviously garage, but jungle, you know, sound clash culture and whatnot. That's where I thought the kind of patois and.
But this isn't a
Caribbean.
grime list. I want to put that out there. This is a UK hip hop list.
Yeah, it's not. Yeah.
No. But we're talking. But Kieran asked about Kano and Getz though. That's what I mean. That's what I meant. But yeah.
Fair enough.
So the other one, J Hus Common Sense.
Listen, yeah.
My question,
go
just very quickly. Do we not think that Big Conspiracy is the better album?
No.
Oh, I think Big Conspiracy is better album. I
Why
do.
is common
I
sense-
do
Well, why didn't
personally.
you guys vote for it then? You guys are chatting out your butt cheeks.
No, I
because-
did, Sam.
I
I
know
did.
you did.
I did.
I know you did,
Yeah.
but these two didn't because they've got the same list. My point is, yeah, Big Conspiracy is a great
Nah.
album, right? But Common Sense is a better album, and I'll tell you why. Because it represents a different side of UK music that other people cannot and will not represent. He brought a whole new thing to the game that's now proliferating through the scene. Like, even down to the... Well, okay, it's not the way he sounds like people copying his voice type thing. But you know what I mean? It was a new voice on a new sound. It was like Rick Ross level rap in the UK that we'd never had before. People had tried, but this was like that high, magnificent levels of rap, yeah? And the thing is with Common Sense, for me personally, I feel like it had a bigger impact, obviously because the world was open, but at the same time, Common Sense is just, for me, we're talking about albums here, not albums with better songs on it. For a whole body of work, if you were to rank them, you know, oh, this is an 8, this is a 7, this is a 10, whatever, the overall aggregate score of Common Sense is higher than Big Conspiracy. Big Conspiracy, if anything, is an attempt at like, oh, okay, I've got this big feature, that big feature. Well, not this big feature. But, you know, he had the Burner Boys, he had the Coffees, whereas Common Sense didn't have any of that. It was just raw. It was just how it was, and how it was is how you got it. So, yeah, that's why I had to rate it how I did, so that I made sure it got somewhere on the list, but it nearly missed out.
It's fair points. I mean, I like Common Sense a lot as well. It's very much, it feels like a party summer album to me. I don't mean that in a negative way. It's just got that vibe to it. And I definitely get what you mean. It's, you know, as an entry to the game and the influence it's had on the rest of the scene, undeniable. I just always found, well, not always, I find Big Conspiracy more concise. I feel like he's saying a bit more. I feel like it's a bit more introspective. It's just a bit more interesting to me as a body of work. But each
I
to
used
their
to
own.
think,
But he
though,
didn't vote
that
for it. That's the problem.
With Big
Yeah, it's not top 10.
Conspiracy,
It's not top
like-
10 to me. But
Oh, well,
Okay.
well, you need to get onto what's number 9 then, because for this to come in at number 9
Yeah.
in a UK rap list, yeah, I don't know what's going on there. You two need to explain yourselves.
I
What
was going to
is
say,
this?
I used to think that Big Conspiracy was better produced, but listening to Common Sense today, I heard tracks like Leave Me, and the beat is incredible on that.
I forgot the name of this other track. There's like a garage track, Plotting, banger.
Oh, Plotting's, yeah.
Yeah,
that's
plotting
it.
as well.
Plotting's hard.
mad.
But yeah, no, Common
That's
Sense
more
is a quality
relevant
album.
now.
This is what I'm saying. He touched on UK garage vibes in there. Realistically, he brought the Afro swing type
Early.
thing. Exactly. That's why I feel like Common Sense is a better album. But listen, let's get on to original Pirate Material by the Streets. What the fuck is this, you two? Explain yourselves.
who else had him in?
I had him in as well.
Or them in? Yeah. Kieran, do you want to go first? Or?
No, don't do that. You go first. You explain yourself over there, Sean.
I mean, I can explain it. But wait, hang on. Has Kieran have you now decided that it's like not?
Don't
top
do
10
that.
worthy,
Don't
or-
do that. Don't do that. Don't do that.
No.
Do your Kieran. Don't even answer him. Just do your thing, Sean, and then let Kieran come with what he's saying.
Okay, fair enough. So original Pirate Material. Okay, so we're gonna come on to we're gonna come on to Roots Maneuver. Bit of a spoiler, and that's someone that I think is one of the earliest examples of someone that was unapologetically London, but Mike Skinner and the Streets was unapologetically English. I don't think there was anyone at that time making any kind of hip hop as in releasing a body of work out there to the wider population that was that English, that was that UK. I don't see it. And I think I try to put myself in the perspective of someone from outside of London as well, hearing a Brummie accent, especially being someone from Birmingham, listening to that rather than hearing either a London accent or what people were doing on garage tracks and jungle tracks, or just the fake American accents that people were doing. To hear him and the way he was rapping with that accent was a big deal, I felt. Big deal. Kieran, have you got anything to add, or do you want me to keep going?
No, I think adding to that, like, it's not just how different and unique he was, but like the echelon he was hitting as well. Like, he came out straight away upper echelon with orchestration on his album.
But doesn't this tell you that he
And-
had some kind of label backing, that he had
Yeah.
some kind of budget behind him that a lot of these other people?
Why
did
does
not
that
have in the
affect the pick though?
Because
Why is that affecting
because
your
it's
pick?
not UK rap music. It's just a guy. This is basically Ed Sheeran before Ed Sheeran existed. That's what you guys have pushed up into this list.
Ed Sheeran doesn't do spoken word rap like this though.
He will. Trust me, it's
Damn, that's
coming.
wild, man.
It's coming.
I'm baffled.
Compare
Like,
oh my god,
have you listened to Stay Positive recently?
No.
classic.
Why would I listen to that?
Classic. I mean, production-wise, these are stripped down garage beats with, like Kieran said, things like orchestras, things like ska-esque horns and things like that. This was like a kind of, I'm kind of done with the way garage is going. I'm going to do this, but I love hip hop too, so I'm going to merge this in there as well. There was nothing like it at all. And his rapping style as well is another thing where he was so laid back, so nonchalant, to the point where it was almost spoken word, but it still sounded great. He still found pockets. He still had very slick lyricism in there. This is one of, if not the most unique albums, and definitely rappers on this list.
I'll give you
without
that.
a shadow of a doubt.
100.
Yeah, I'll give you that as well. That's
Not,
what I
not the
was about
most
to agree with you.
unique,
You've
but
got a point.
he's different.
And
One thing I've got to say though is that like the album is a mood, and like if you're not in the mood that the album is giving you, you're not going to enjoy it. Like this album fluctuates for me. Sometimes it's like just like a mid-8 or something. Other times it's a 10 because like just the way it feels when you're actually in the mood is mad. Like you're hearing all these sounds everywhere, and this voice you've never heard from other people before either.
Yeah. And in terms of the content as well, it was like this mix of humor with honesty and just like not being afraid to kind of just, you know, put yourself down and be like, yeah, I'm a little bit of a waste, a little bit of a loser, but I've got something to say. He wasn't like trying to flash about with, you know, fancy jewelry or like I've got this car or
Because
I
he didn't
shoot
have the
this
money. That's
person,
why.
blah, blah, blah. but that's the beauty of it. There's loads of people out there. I think it's incredibly relatable to a huge demographic of just working class Britain, really.
If anything, right, I feel like if we were to redo this list in 10 years' time, original pirate material, because you know, let's not be honest, he's representing the white crowd here. If we're gonna replace him with somebody, yeah. I know Slow Tie is not completely white, but it would be Slow Tie. For what the points you're saying is of strip down this type of beat, original this, da 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 da.
But I've got to say, like, Slow Tide doesn't convey like this picture in such a cinematic way that
Not yet.
the
But,
Streets does.
but that's what I'm saying. Not yet. But
Not
he
yet,
might get
anyway.
there. He might get there. But all right, I've kind of exaggerated like my take on original pirate material, just because I just don't feel like it's with the top 10 list. It's got to be like timeless, and it's like you said, Kieran. You have to be in the mood for this album, and I haven't been in the mood for this album in my adult life. And as a kid, it just sounded good.
Yeah. And that's the problem. I think that's the thing I found, because when I was a kid, I really enjoyed this album as well. But going into it when prepping, I don't know, I just wasn't feeling it. Not that I could tell it was great. Don't get me wrong. I'm not gonna like sit here and like slate it, because I could tell, like, you can hear everything that's going on and what he's doing. You know it's a good album. I just probably wasn't in the mood for it and don't appreciate it. And like you said, Kieran, you've made a strong point there. Maybe when I am in the mood, I'll appreciate it much differently to how I did leading up to this.
Theo, this is the thing. Like the next pick we did above this actually is the exact reason why I put it low and like why I'm off it right now, like totally, because it's like it just grates me. The next album, honestly.
But you voted for
Wait,
it.
one more thing.
You
One-
both-
I
Yeah,
voted
one
for it,
more
but I
thing.
wouldn't now. I listened to it this morning and it gave me a migraine.
This is,
Hang on, one more thing before we move on to that album is that with Mike Skinner, like, you know, this wasn't just some white guy that came in, did a bit of rap and then left, or like, you know, just did this whole sort of culture vulture thing. This is someone that was and is embedded in the culture. Wait, why is that music playing? Why is it? This is someone that worked with Kano, took Gets on tour, worked with Gigs.
I'm sorry.
Moving on.
No.
Yeah, I don't get that one.
No,
That's a bit of a
finish
strange one, but
what
fair
you're saying. I won't do it again. I promise.
No, I was like, I don't know whether to keep talking.
Yeah, you have to.
Yeah,
It
but
adds to the
fair enough.
vibe when you talk over the.
No, but I was done, so I was like, I don't know what to say now. But
email Sean at theguardian.com for all your album reviews and pushes.
Them ones. Right, let's get to it. Let's just get to it. Boy in the Corner. Why does it grate you, Kieran?
The sounds are horrible. They're not appealing. Like, it's mixed disgustingly.
Yep.
So it's like, if this beat was mixed good, it would actually bang. There's this one that I'm just like, no. Like, I think it's actually stopped that, because it's like, I want to love that song, and it's actually one of my favorites on that whole album. But it's like, the mix is so grating that I don't want to play it anymore.
Bearing in mind that grime is meant to like kind of be like ripping your head off and whatever, but it's like from an audio standpoint, it's got to be listenable. And this is what I've said, and I will continue to say till whenever. Grime music was not appealing to me as a child or when I was growing up, because the mixes were trash, like complete trash.
Literally, like for a decade, I've been thinking Just the Rascals, the only well mixed and produced song on.
Oh no, I Love You is mixed well. I Love You is mixed quite well.
I Love You is brilliant. But I tell you what's mixed bad though. Still. But Live-O, like I can't listen to that song. Like even though he's rapping really well on Live-O, it's that horrible sound. Oh, it puts
that's the worst.
Every time I listen to it, like, who wants to hear that malarkey in the background, man? No,
Sean looks like he's about to have a heart attack, man.
But we have to give the balance before Sean even speaks. Like, it is a good punk anarchy kind of album.
Yeah, but even punk music's mixed well, so I don't know where we're going with this, because realistically, all these sound
proper punk's not mixed.
Look, wait.
It is no. From the standpoint of what punk music is, of these people are like, fuck the system. They've made great sounding music that sounds punk. This is a grime album. All the sounds came in a computer, right? And it's just like they haven't even it's like whatever was made when it was high in the studio is what we're hearing now all 10, 15 years later. And it's not really making much sense to me.
But the thing is as well, hold on, like the mix is one of the reasons why it's not great right now. But it's like, I listen to Enter the Wu-Tang and love it because it's actually better music. The mix is actually worse than Boy in the Corner, I think. But
they were making that way back
so
when,
good.
before they had all it.
Exactly.
And the thing is, they were very limited with what they could do, right? So realistically, half of them beats came out of a fucking MPC. One track's gone, and they've only got, maybe another 2 or 3 tracks to record on for all of them to do their bars and whatever. So it was a lot more limited. But with this, I feel like there needs to be a remastered version of this album, and that might bump it up for me. But because from a bar standpoint, it's a great album, yeah. But like,
100%.
When you're thinking about a whole album, you want to have something that's listenable, that you can not sit with, but do you know what I mean? That there's an environment where it can play, and you're not going to go and be like, oh God, like, it's hurting my ears.
Some of it's boring as well, Like,
oh no, 100%.
There's a few songs that are genuinely really boring, and I'm just like, I can't even listen to this. There's no energy in his raps in some of them, which is crazy because some of them are really energetic. It's just filler.
If Dizzy was to make an album, like a proper, like an effort at an album now, it would be amazing. But I don't know. I don't know how to say it without sounding rude, yeah? But like, this literally feels like he recorded it in the estates, and, that's literally all it ever was. It's like, he never was like, this is a body of work, this is an amazing thing. It's kind of like, do you know what I mean? This is just 15 studio sessions.
It's like a mixtape.
Yeah.
Literally.
Right. I was waiting for someone to say that because before, everything you were saying prior to that to me is literally just his personal preference. Because if you're not feeling grime, if you don't really like grime, then this and any other purely grime album is not going to work for you. So that's fair enough. I'm not going to say anything to that. But to say it's just 15 tracks put together is wrong. It's completely wrong.
It doesn't start and end anywhere.
This is an album. This is an album with an arc. It has an arc. If you go from Sitting Here to Brand New Day to Jezebel to Do It, there is an arc. He starts off as someone who is completely pessimistic. He's depressed. He's anxious. He's got PTSD. He's watching the things going around him in the hood. He gets to Brand New Day, where it's like, okay, look, there's a bit of positivity here, but there's all this shit still going on. If you go to Jezebel, but you think about the tracks that came before that with I Love You, with Round We Go, there's a lot of talk of like love and relationships. He gets to Jezebel and provides a very mature, kind of complete stance on things like underage pregnancy and whatnot. And then you get to Do It, where it's like, you know what? You can do it. It's a positive message. It's like there's still this shit going on, but I'm going to try and be the best person. I'm going to try and make something of myself. So to say that there's like just 15 tracks put together randomly is wrong. But there's a definite character arc.
The man that said about concise and all this kind of stuff previously, this is a 15-song album, yeah? Each song is over 3 minutes, because back then it was acceptable to make songs over 3 minutes, right? But let's say by today's standards, this is a very, very long album, yeah? Are you not telling me there's not at least 5, maybe even 6 tracks that you could just take out of this and it's still it's gonna make it play better?
For me personally, no, because I love it. That's why I put it as my number one. This is to me, in my opinion, the greatest UK rap album. No, it's not. Look, like I said, I'm not precious about it. I'm not bothered. It's opinion. It's not like I'm gonna go and cry in a corner. It's just, I didn't mean the pun there, but
that's Sean's in terms of this cry in the corner.
Yeah, cry in the corner. Yeah. If Drake did grime.
We need to sell that.
There's 2 tracks on here. There's 2 tracks for me that don't actually fit within that arc that I'm saying, and one is Fix Up Look Sharp, and the other one is Just a Rascal. It doesn't mean I don't like them songs, but to me those were the 2 clear radio. I'm going for radio with these songs.
They actually got mastered. I bet the other tracks didn't get it professional.
This is what I'm saying.
But I think that was
when I said there's 5-6 tracks that could be taken out of this. Nice. When I said there's 5-6 tracks that could be taken out of this, yeah, I don't mean it's been taken out and thrown in the bin. I feel like there could have been an EP that would have made more sense. So I'm saying, sitting here, I Love You, Fix Up Look Sharp, and Just a Rascal. Those 4 songs together could have made a nice little EP, but they're just. I don't know. Maybe it's me. I'm coming from a critical standpoint of, at this time in 2003, I was banging out Jay-Z. I was banging out whatever I was banging out as a kid, like, Outkast and that. And comparatively, when I was thinking like, oh, wow, this is what my country makes, I was like, this is crap. Like, not like crap.
It wasn't on the level.
Yeah, not crap as in this isn't good music, but it's crap as in like, if you'd have just gone and got these mixed professionally or something, because there's an example of a good mixed album that came out around the same time is fucking Theo's guy Kalashnikov. That album's mixed all right. Do you know what I mean?
You think?
I think so. The beats are, at least. The lyrics is a different thing, but the beats are mixed well, considering what the vibe he's going for. Because think about the grime music we have now, right? Get, Kano, whoever else you want to talk about, Skepta. It's mixed well and it lands well. But the mix is part of rating an album, surely.
But we're talking about guys. You're talking about Gets and Kenny. You're talking about guys that are like mid to late 30s.
So is he now?
In a genre. No, hang on. But he wasn't then. He was 17 years old when he made this. Grime was a very, very new thing to the wider public. This album's not supposed to sound good. This is supposed to make your head hurt. This is supposed to make you want to trash your room up. Like, I can't believe Stop That is not getting love. Stop That is one of the quintessential grime bangers. I'm sorry.
Is it really, or is it the beat? Because I feel like back in the day, you would hear the beats more than you'd hear the original song. Do you know what I mean? Like, there's some beats that I don't even know what the original song was.
No, I think his lyricism in that and throughout is what is a real draw to this album. That sort of mix between sarcastic and harsh, the sort of tongue in cheek. He's like introspective and conscious, but not in a pretentious way. He's, again, like we said about Slow Tie, that fly on the wall thing. There's so many quotables, so many throughout that.
No one's saying it's a bad album though. Like, I'm saying it's I know. 8 out of 10 or something.
I'm coming from an objective standpoint, yeah. If I had to rank this out of 10 back then, I wouldn't know what to rank it, because I would be ranking it against, because there wasn't much UK music out at the time. But if I had to rank it now, once again, from an objective standpoint, it's going to be like a 6 or a 7. But it's not going to be a 6 or a 7 because I don't like it. It's just because it's not holding up the same way. It's not dated, but it's of a time, if that makes sense.
There was something I wanted to go back to, though, because you said about like the rap music that was out at that time and how it wasn't really on a par with it. And I'm going to kind of relate it back to Kalashnikov, but I don't want to seem like I'm bashing him, because I actually like him and I like that album. But something else for me with Kalashnikov that doesn't have, that Dizzy had at the time, was when it just came to vocals and delivery. I don't think I'm going to say this. I don't think there was anyone, UK or US, at that time, 2003, with that same level of energy and originality in the way they were rapping. Dizzy's voice was and is incredible.
Anybody that's relevant now was rapping back then. Not relevant, but is big now, was rapping back then. And who do you think? He was the young, do you know what I mean? The young offering of these people that that represent Newham. He is the representation of a Getz and a Kano and a Wiley. Do you know what I mean? He is their golden child. I feel like they fed all the best parts of themselves into this one person. Yeah. And what's his name? Yeah. Jammer. All these people, all of BBK, all of these guys, they were putting all their hopes and dreams on him in the hope that he would give it back. But then he never gave it back, which is a whole different conversation.
That's a different story. Yeah, I mean, there's other personal things with that, or why I think Dizzy went the path he did. But like you say, it's the money, different conversation.
If you're coming from hardship and you want to get out, let's be honest, man. It's about money. He's not coming from a place where it's like, I don't mind being at home, whatever. It's like he's like, this place is shit. These men are saying, I'll give you money. He's like, let me take the money.
I don't want to go too much into it because we weren't there and no one knows the real story. But I think a big part of it is also what happened to him out in Ayia Napa. I think a 17, 18-year-old kid going out there, getting stabbed, being out there with a bunch of olders, not really feeling like he's got the support and the backing out there. Whatever happened, I don't know the full story. But I feel like he was and he said it in interviews before, he didn't want to be involved with any of that. He was kind of done with the scene at that point. And it makes me understand why he went the route he did, and he's tried to come back musically with his last two albums, and it's just not the same. I think that there was a Boy in the Corner is one of those, like, it's his, for me, it's like the stars aligned and that's his peak, and he won't ever capture that again. I don't mean to be disrespectful, but it's just I don't know how else to describe it other than he reached his peak when he first came out the gates.
On the head. This is a good first album, right?
But I think just to clarify as well, it's not my personal favourite on this list. It's not my personal favourite UK rap album of all time. I just think if you take everything into consideration, to me, it's just I'm not sure what else was on the level in terms of a debut, but had the impact that it did. Because I actually think in terms of if we're talking pure grime, I don't think it's ever been matched.
The impact's huge. Just like you said in regards to his voice, because I remember when I Love You came out and how everybody was like, oh my goodness, what is this? And it was different, and the energy, the energy was something else. Yeah, exactly. And I remember watching it on Channel U, thinking, who's this guy? And then, but like you said, there was big impact. So there's no discussion on that really.
Without it, we wouldn't have the scene we have today. At least not by now. But exactly, I don't know. I feel like I'm being unnecessarily harsh about it. But now we need to get to a person who makes 2 appearances on this list for reasons that I'm not quite sure about. But yeah, let's get into this.
I actually thought that was going to get way more heated, but that was pretty calm and collected. And it's all good. That was mature. Anyway,
we can get mature if you want. I'm joking.
MIA. So we got 2 albums on the list. We got her first 2.
Oh, you're giving away the bait, man. Trying to build suspension. I'm joking, go on.
Oh, fuck.
No, I'm joking. Suspension, suspense. Yeah, go on.
I wanted to ask Kieran a question just about MIA in general. I just want to throw it out there. I think it's undeniable the impact that she's had on music. And I think that especially a record like Carla you can put it on today and it just completely fits in. It's not dated in any sense. But when we're talking rap, are these top 10 greatest UK rap album worthy?
Is it a rap album? Because it feels dancey.
Question.
It feels
a very
dancey.
Good question. Yeah.
Rap is a technique, though. We're not talking about a genre. And she definitely raps. She raps in the same way you could say Mike Skinner's a rapper. Ooh, do you know what I mean?
Again, that's a very good point.
And,
throwing back because
because when I listened to all 10 in like from top to bottom, and I was like, do you know what? These actually are really similar rappers in the way that they're actually coming so different to every UK rapper that we're questioning, are they even rap music anymore? But the fact is they all are on this list.
Realistically as well, sorry to cut you, Kieran, but it's like, you want to talk about Dizzy being punk and all this type of stuff. Arguably, she's kind of punk too. She's got that.
No, she very much is. She reminds me heavily of The Clash. Big time. Mm-hmm. Because The Clash, I mean, not in when The Clash first came out, they were very much punk, but they got criticised because they went beyond the genre. They made albums like London's Calling, and they made songs, like Rock the Casbah, things like that, which were not punk at all. They went beyond, but they served better for it. But they still maintained quite poignant content as well. And I think whilst MIA doesn't sound stereotypically punk in terms of the music and the aesthetics. What she's saying, like the content, is
literally like that's if any album, if we're talking like what is she a good rapper on, it is Arula, which is the pick we're talking about right now. And it's because like her style is like this playground singing rap style. And that's why it blew in America, because it was like, wow, we can sample her voice. Even to this day with the Nerd album, they sampled her again. And the other thing is the messages, like Sean was saying, that she says, like, you could listen to Arula many times and still not get every reference she's making, especially the final track, MIA, where she's talking about all this political stuff, like, are you a follower or whatever, stuff like that. It's mad. She had a lot to say in a time. I think like she said enough to get blacklisted, to be honest. And I think that's kind of what might have happened to her with later on in her career.
She was kind of saying, she was not saying the same things. You know what I was saying about Kalashnikov, how he was saying things that were very near the mark and very like brutally honest, and that's maybe why he didn't get to that next stage and kind of, you know, sign with a big label and things like that. Maybe that's why they didn't want to touch him. I feel like she somehow managed to get her way into a label and then just pissed them the hell off and worried the hell out of them with the stuff she was saying.
America cancelled her, I think, and like she was sick. She blew in America. Like that's not even a common thing for a UK rapper. I think out of all the artists on this list, she probably is the biggest in America. Maybe Skepta's getting close, but
I was going to say, Skepta might be.
But Skepta would be close. But I do agree. I do think MIA is the biggest out of all of them. In terms of going over, well, across the pond, as they like to say, but definitely.
And we know, America's the global sphere as well of media digestion.
I think the difference between her and Skepta in terms of the popularity is Skepta obviously made a very conscious effort going out there around, what was it, like 2014-ish time, and was out there going to radio stations, handing a mixtape around, just kind of starting from the ground up, and then worked with big names out in America. It feels like MIA wasn't really doing that, especially rappers. There's no big name rappers on her first two albums other than Timbaland, but that was more
Timbaland was
as a producer, but she did it in a different way, which is even more impressive in a way, I guess, in terms of how popular she became.
But Sam is right though. It is like this is dance music. The whole album is dance from the get go. Like it starts with a skit, and you're like, okay, it's produced, you can just move to this.
It's produced by Diplo, so it's like, okay, maybe Diplo isn't a hip hop producer, but at the same time, he's a very good producer. So do you know what I mean? If this album was produced by somebody else, maybe they would have made more hip hoppy beats. But she's definitely rapping. Do you know what I mean? Let's not.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Let's not. Lie to us.
No, I'm glad you made the comparison between her and Mike Skinner, because
well, that's what I got when I was listening through the top 10. I thought it was a brilliant point from Kieran, because that's exactly what I felt when I was listening to MIA. I could relate it to Mike Skinner, how they are definitely rapping on their album, but they're doing it in their sort of, well, it's different, isn't it? But you cannot not listen to it and say that they're not rapping, because they are rapping. It's clear.
Yeah. Definitely, 100%.
It's just different because it's not embodied in this whole like, oh, hit this flow, do this thing, hit this pocket. It's like it's like you said, Sean, before. It's like spoken word.
Yeah, I guess so. Yeah. But then that leads me to the other question, which is the better rap album? Because we're doing a rap album list. Which is the better rap album?
Well, wait, we've got to go in sequence, surely. But I mean, it's probably for me, it's MIA, the AIM album. Sorry.
That's interesting.
Carla and Arula are great albums, but as a rap album, she's rapping a lot more on AIM. I don't know when you guys last listened to it, but she's actually rapping.
She's rapping a lot, but I chose Carla because the rap songs that are on Carla are so good that I feel like it trumps all of her content elsewhere. Like even just Paper Planes, which is actually quite a light one. There's other rap tunes on Carla that are crazy, and it's like it's far and few because she does a lot more singing in that album.
She also worked with hip hop producers in Carla. That's what gave it a more hip hoppy feel. She worked with Timbaland, she worked with Black Stars. So it's like,
that's why it fell higher for me.
Okay, makes sense.
Yeah. I prefer the debut personally, but as the rap album, I put Carla ahead. But
I did prefer the debut, but after listening to them back and forth, I prefer Carla to Arula, to be honest with you.
Oh, really?
So yeah, I definitely do. I think there's just a lot more on Carla. I really do. It just gives me a nice vibe, and I just think she's doing. I don't know.
It's an elevation. Her artistry is a lot better. Like she's making records instead of like rap tracks, which is what like Arula does a lot.
Yeah.
Do you know what song on there I really like? Really like? It's Jimmy.
Jimmy's mad. Jimmy's crazy.
I love that song. I'm trying to like work it into a playlist. So next time, when we can actually have barbecues and parties and whatnot, just to slip that in and see how people.
See, the thing is, like her rap is so pop as well, and like Jimmy's a good example of that. She's rapping on it, but it's such a poppy way that it's like, what's going on?
Yeah,
I love it.
And the other song I like off the first album is Sun Showers. I really like Sun Showers.
Nice
tune, man.
That's a summer tune.
Roots Maneuver. So just before I say what I think, had any of you been listening to Roots Maneuver before we did this?
Oh yeah, I knew, yeah.
A little bit.
That's what
I
remember. I voted Run Come Save Me instead of the first album, so I was listening to them beforehand. But
before we shared our lists, I had Run Come Save Me because that's the album that I've had the longest. That's the first one. That was my introduction to him ages ago, and I've been listening to. And I'd heard this one a while back, but obviously it wasn't the right time. And I listened to it again in preparation, and I was like, "Oh shit!" Because for me, I had to remind myself that it was 1999 when it came out.
That is a long time.
And if you think about, it's a long time ago, And people often say that, like, kind of like Dizzy's the starting point, or if they know about original Pirate Material, they'll say that. But if you think about what UK hip hop was like prior to this, now I know there's people like, was it Rodney P? Smiley Culture. You might have someone like General Levy from the Jungle World.
Who did Return of the Mac? Whoever that guy is.
Was he British?
Yeah.
Mark Morrison.
Yeah, he's British. I swear to you.
Yeah, Mark Morrison's British. Yeah, he's British.
I was thinking more someone like I was thinking of what's his name from Massive Attack.
Oh,
Tricky.
Yeah.
People like that. So you had rappers that were very influential and whatnot, and you would consider UK. But I feel like with Roots Maneuver, and I've said it before, he was just unapologetically London. He was not afraid to rap in his South London accent with the kind of patois. And I think he's Jamaican. I think he's got Jamaican
heritage.
heritage.
He's got a Jamaican background.
Yeah. Intertwining that in. And again, like I said, we've heard it before. We had some people that would kind of dabble in it and whatnot. But I don't think to this extent, a full album, body of work, hip hop as well. We're not talking about jungle. We're not talking about garage, anything like that. A hip hop record where the guy was completely authentic was just a big, big deal. And I don't know whether he is a direct influence on the people I'm about to say, name, but I feel like that album, directly or indirectly, broke down a door for the likes of a Kalashnikov, a Ghost Poet, a Little Sims, a Lil Kana, people like that.
Even J Hus. J Hus with the rap voice.
You could say that, yeah.
It's so similar.
You could say that. But I mean, and then if you think about what he went on to do with Run Come Save Me, and like the track Witness and how big that still is, you still hear that on flipping adverts and whatnot. The fact that he apparently had an influence on dubstep with his music too. I just felt like this album had to be in there. That's why I had it so high. It's just a great album.
It definitely had to be in there. It's the influences, like you said, and it's a fantastic album when you listen to it. And it's like the people you mentioned, the influences are there. It basically showed anyone that you can mix because there's a lot of people, there's a lot of diversity in this country. You can mix your backgrounds into this music and make it your own and make it authentic for yourself. Yeah. And that's exactly what he did. He knocked down that barrier. That's why when Kieran mentioned J Hus, I think that's a brilliant mention, because J Hus has knocked down at the door further, because he's got that influences from Roots Maneuver and brought that African swing in, because like Sam said before, no one was doing that before when he came with
not to that extent.
And then he comes with that, and now all you hear is that Afro swing that is coming through, and it keeps knocking down barriers, and it all starts from that album, I believe. Although sorry, not to go off on too much of a tangent, but someone who was proudly African or proudly Nigerian was Skepta from early. He was very much, he would say it. Do you know what I mean? Yeah.
But the difference with J Hus was the sound. It was like, it was the accent, it was the language, it was everything.
It's the feel, it's the vibe that you get.
You
get the African vibe. Like Skepta is proudly Nigerian and he always says it, but do you truly get that I don't know, that you don't get that sort of. But yeah, exactly. Yeah. You don't get that feel. Like I'm half Nigerian myself, and knowing that sort of feel, like J Hus, like you just hear it. You hear that African influence in his music.
And I'm talking early Skepta, by the way, not
No. I know what you mean.
Now, but
yeah.
But if you,
I do want to. Oh, sorry, go on.
No, go ahead, Kieran. No, go on.
Oh no, I was going to give the counterpoint because I feel like we need to just get the balance in now. Like,
I
feel like although it is ahead of its time, like sound wise, it's all soundscapey and it's a vibe. I do think like there's some filler tracks on it, and also the songs go on too long as well. Like some songs are 5 minutes, and I'm like, I would have liked if this was just 3 or even shorter sometimes as well. For something is so long. There's bound to be like fillers and like some tracks I'm just having to press next because I'm like, I've been sat here a bit too long now.
Back in this day, you're paying all £10-15 for a physical disc. You want to feel like you've got your money's worth. So I feel like back in the day, if an album was less than an hour, people were like feeling like they got shortchanged. And as an artist, you felt like you had to deliver one, a lot of tracks and two, long tracks. Do you know what I mean? So it's a product of the time.
It's the marketing necessity of it, right?
Mm-hmm.
I know what you mean, though, Kieran, because there's a track on there that I like, but it does go on a bit, and it's Cornmeal Dumpling.
Yeah.
Which, do you know what? As original as he was, I could still hear his kind of influences from the US, and that track for me could sit right next to something like Watermelon off Common's album, Resurrection, just the whole vibe of it. But I think for me, I agree with you. There are definitely, I don't know about filler, but tracks that are kind of noticeably not on the level of others.
Do you know what it is? It's maybe it's not filler, but yeah, the highs are so high. Like the final track, Motion 5000.
Oh,
it's
fantastic,
crazy.
Like, it's unbelievable.
That sounds like a Streets tune as well, actually, the production.
I know what you mean, Kieran, because the highs are ridiculously high, because it just leaves you like, oh my God, this is just fantastic. And then some tracks you just feel like you're going on the wave, because it's not on that same level.
He raps like as good as KRS-One in so many moments. I'm like, this is unreal.
You said that. It's really
so
interesting
UK, right? It's so UK what he's doing.
No, I'm glad you said that, because the track for me in particular that made me make this comparison was Jungle Things proper, where for me I just was like, this is like Chuck D. This is the UK Chuck D, but not in like a you're biting Chuck D way. It was like, this is the equivalent. The things he's saying, the kind of power in his voice. I was like, this is Public Enemy-esque, but it's not, because he's rapping over these really kind of minimal bass heavy beats. But for me, the two tracks that really stand out is, have any of you deeped Inner? Track 4.
Yeah. It's crazy.
That has got to be the earliest depiction of gentrification I've heard in UK rap music, where this guy is just painting this vivid picture of what it's like to be in your area and just feel like it's not yours anymore, and that it's just the vibe is off. I don't think I've heard a track before that from this country to do it that well anyway. Crazy. And then like the storytelling on Strange Behavior, where he's talking about the woman he's not seen in a while, and then goes to her house and she just whips out the heroin. It's like, what? The
storytelling is so vivid. Like that's Biggie level storytelling. I was just what?
And then movements, like as an opening track, the vibe it creates, it's like this really sort of paranoid, eerie feeling. Like it's almost like he's walking down the road, hood up, raining, pitch black, and you've got like one earphone in because you don't know if someone's going to come behind you and jump you. It's just got that weird, I don't know, it's a bit like anxiety inducing. But I love it.
Why hasn't this album been celebrated more? It's over 20 years old now. Why has it not been celebrated more?
It's a good question. I'm not going to even lie to you. I don't even know the answer to that, because it should be, and I don't know the answer.
Lack of promotion, maybe, because people don't
gold
say
or
like
silver or something. I just looked.
Yeah, that's decent.
Yeah, but do you know what? It's also the first UK rap album I'm aware of that got critical acclaim in the States. I think Pitchfork gave it 9.5, which is ridiculously high.
Wow, that's good.
And they trashed Run Come Save Me as well. Whoever wrote that trashed it, gave it like a 4 point something.
I've read that review. It's horrible.
Why do they trash it? That's ridiculous, man.
But Theo, there's that, that kind of, and it still happens today, because I heard someone on a podcast over in America talking about drill, and there's this like, they look at us as if we're all speaking in the Queen's English, sipping our tea.
Yeah, well,
guns are illegal, so we don't have guns and all this shit. And there was like this air of like, you're copying us, like you don't do it as good as us. And that review of the second album was like that. Kieran, how disrespectful is it? It's like he's not even talking about the music.
It's crazy. Like the review is like a trolling letter they're writing that KRS-One writes to Roots Maneuver saying, this album is trash, you're copying me on every track. It's mad.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
It's almost as if they believe there's not room for two things to coexist. Do you know what I mean? It's either one or the other. And it's like, the problem is with UK music is it will, until we make it a priority, because I don't think it matters if we blow in the US or not. But until we make we're making UK music a priority now. But until we make it a priority, it will always be in the shadow of US music. Because it's not like US music is like so much better now. The beats are the same quality, the rappers are the same quality. It's just a matter of choice now. You could easily throw a party now with all UK music for the whole 5, 6, 7 hours you have that party. And it's all going to be bangers. There'll be no low points. But people are just so ready to have the American music. And the other way around, it's not happening. They're not in there like, yo, play fucking J Hus. They don't want to hear that.
Yeah.
But outside of the US, people listen to a lot more UK music. In France, they do.
This is turning into a really interesting conversation, because now you've got me like rattling my brains as to why this didn't do as well as it did. I'm wondering if it is literally just the fact that there was nothing, like I say, this authentically British or London, and people just weren't ready for it at the time.
I'm not asking why it didn't do well. I said, why is it not more celebrated? Is it because people don't know about it? Do you know what I mean? Because it's coming out at the same time as all these other big US rappers were dropping their debuts and whatever. But like, this did well for a UK rap album in a time where there was, in my knowledge, no UK rap.
Do you know what I'm thinking?
It's one of the only things that at that time. So you are right. I don't know why it's not being celebrated more. I really don't. It should be.
I'm wondering if it got lost in the whole. Like, let's face it, Grime. When Grime first came on the scene, it exploded on. Like it kind of took over in a sense and became the forefront of not even just rap music in this country, but was just had a huge impact on culture in general. And there became a fixation with Grime being dead. You know when all the big names in Grime went off and made the pop records and all that, and there was this period of time where Grime was dead, quote unquote. Grime was like, people fixated on it. It was like the only kind of form of UK rap that was in that sort of popular mainstream realm. And I just wonder whether some of these important UK hip hop records got swept under the rug a bit because people were so fixated with Grime or Grime's journey and whatnot. I don't know. I'm not sure. Don't know if that's the right
Is it an aspect of it being boom bap as well? Because I feel like UK boom bap music isn't celebrated really at all.
It definitely wasn't before it, like I say, because people were just putting on silly American accents, or the production was just so much trying to emulate, whether it be Primo or Dr. Dre or Q-Tip, whatever. It was just so not UK. But this one with the dub elements, it was. Do you know what I mean? Like, don't get me wrong. Like I listen to a track like Clockwork and I can hear Mos Def rapping on that easy. Mos Def would kill that beat, but it didn't feel like it was trying to be Mos Def. It didn't feel like it was trying to be American. Do you know what I mean?
Well, I feel like as well with this album, all the beats were made for him. Do you know what I mean? So it's not like he was going and finding a beat like you can online and being like, I want to sound like this guy, that guy. Especially back in 1999, he was in a very insular place where he might have been listening to whoever he was listening to growing up and whatever. And this is the album he wanted to make. Do you know what I mean? So this is the type of beats he requested or make, because it says on here that he produced some of them, which I didn't really know. But yeah, I feel like it's not a copycat thing. Where what's his name? Kalashnikov is a copycat album of the US scene. This isn't, to me.
Oof, copycat,
It's a similar thing with, I was going to say, Jest as well. Like he does what Kalashnikov does.
Definitely.
But he is sick as well. Like that's really high quality boom bap UK rap.
But that came out in 2010.
And the thing is,
in a time where there was room for you to make your own type of music, or 2011 or something like that. Yeah, Jest.
Yeah, it did. He was 2010 or 2011, something like that. Jest came out. Yeah, with those.
There was room for him to make his own sound. It's just like I feel like he took the easy route and was like, boom bap is where it's at.
And just to kind of clarify, I don't think there was anything wrong with like a Kalashnikov or a Jest doing it that way. You can make whatever music you want. I just think it's hard to like when you hear a really good UK, I don't know, maybe it's just me, when I hear a really good UK rap album, I almost feel proud.
It's like, you do, because it's the city. Ignore me. It's the country that we live in, and you know, and you can refer it to the country that we live in. When you listen to like you said, Kalashnikov, it doesn't sound like it's from this country. Like it sounds like he's wanting to rap over something that's over the US, and you don't have that. What's the right word? You don't have that sort of, I don't know, connection to it. You want to be connected because this is the country we live in. We want our like UK artists to do well, don't we? So
yeah, and I think that is built upon the way we're received by the US and the way we're spoken about, because it's the rap hip hop started in the States, so they definitely have this kind of claim over it. I mean, it was bad enough over there. New York used to like turn their nose up at LA, at the South, at the Midwest. So it's only natural that it became US kind of looks down on.
That's the nature. That's the nature of rap, innit? It's like I'm the best. So
yeah.
You can't deny it for what it is.
No, I think they're starting to realize now, though, gradually. I think we've had our scene is more. It feels like it's a bit more varied than the US, and I think even like there's been a couple of years where I feel like we had stronger years in terms of the bodies of work we put out as well. So
I kind of agree with that, but I feel like as well. The thing is now it's as much as some people don't want to admit it, it's like the UK is actually influencing the US now. Like it's turned on its head. 100% it's turned on its head. Because look at a Pop Smoke, and realistically, drill happened in the US first, but it took off over here, and he was influenced by us and by French people as well at the same time. So it's like US people have their own issues to sort out. They need to get all these little people out of the fucking way.
Oh, preach.
Be done with that era, yeah. Okay, well, should we move on to the next one?
Yeah, konnichiwa.
Konnichiwa.
I'm not gonna lie, yeah.
Konnichiwa.
I put this in there because I feel like it was a moment, and it was a big cultural moment for the resurgence, not of grime, but of UK music in quality and not notoriety, but remember that thing he did in Shoreditch where he turned up and performed live and all that kind of stuff and did shut down.
That was crazy.
That was mad.
It brought something back. Like it marked something that I can't quite put my finger on completely, but that's why it was in my top 10.
You know what? It is a historic moment, and like when you frame it like that, I always think like, okay, I don't rate this album like critically, like the ones we've mentioned already, but the moment it created was crazy. Incredible.
And what is more British than having, a fucking postage stamp as your album artwork?
Yeah.
I mean, I say that in jest, but it's like, for me, as a UK rap album, it has to have had some kind of impact on the scene that has changed the trajectory of things, or changed that person's, life, as in it's like they've blown up. Now, that doesn't make it mainstream or anything, but let's be honest. Before this, Skepta didn't really have any albums. You know what I mean? He didn't have any projects where you'd be like, oh, this is a project type thing. Like, yeah, Microphone Champion, whatever, doing it again, whatever, Blacklisted, whatever. But this is like, whoa, you have to take this in. And it's some of the best features I've heard in a while.
Well, Blacklisted was a start, wasn't it? I remember he did that YouTube video where it was just him staring at the screen talking about, I think, like his career trajectory and just, I don't know, it seemed like he was going through something. And then Blacklisted came out and we were getting like the odd song here and like the singles and whatnot. And then it was when That's Not Me came out, where I was like, oh shit, like what's going on here? I haven't heard anything like this in a while. Well, I had because it samples Pies by Wiley, doesn't it? Am I right there? No, I think I'm right. But I mean, I just hadn't heard that energy in a very long time. Probably since something like Next Hype. I hadn't heard something like that. I remember walking into the flipping SU at uni and hearing it and being like, why are they playing like grime in it? And then the guy I lived with at the time was like, have you not heard this? So what are you talking about? He's like, there's a new Skepta song. I was like, no. Really?
This is the thing. It's still, even to this day though. I put it on today and I was like, wait, this song actually still gasses me.
Most of it gasses me.
How many times have I said? I put it on the other day. I flipping wanted to throw the chair out the window. I'm not even gonna lie to you, man. Gasses me way too much, man. I go into it.
That little pocket towards the end of the album of Man, Shut Down, and That's Not Me. Amazing, and that's what really lifted. That's what lifted this album.
Yeah.
To where it got to, and that's why I'm glad it's ended up where it ended up. It's in the top 5, but I don't know why you guys didn't pick it if we're talking about impact and all this kind of stuff. And
well, you can see. Do you know what it was on my list? I'm sure it's on my list. If it's not, then I'll hold my hands. Yep, there we go.
Do you know what it is for me? It kind of alludes to what Kieran said. Is that I tried to just kind of. I know I shouldn't really do it, but I took in the music on its own, and listening to it now, almost 5 years later, you don't have all the kind of moments going on around it. It did give me memories and whatnot, but I just felt like as a body of work, like it doesn't really set a kind of consistent vibe like a Brand New Second Hand does. It doesn't really have a character arc like A Boy in the Corner. And it doesn't really have a story like original Pirate Material.
It's just a collection of bangers. That's literally all it
is. It is, yeah. And I don't want to disrespect it. It's a great album, and it's a moment. It's to be honest, it's arguably the. I feel like I shouldn't really say this.
This is what brought Drake over here. Let's not lie. This is what brought Drake over here.
It did, yeah. But I was going to say it feels like it might be the biggest moment behind Boy in the Corner in terms of impact. Because it was huge. This was huge.
This was definitely a resurgence of seeing people in tracksuits and that. People, you know what I mean? Cheeky Nando's crowd back in the tracksuits.
Yeah, big time. But it just, in terms of, maybe Kieran will explain it better, but just in terms of the music itself, there's quite a few albums on this list that are behind it that I would personally just put ahead of it. Well, obviously, it didn't make my top 10, but yeah.
But we're coming from a standpoint of analyzing, the bars, the beats, the story arc and whatever. But it's like, undeniably, out of all the albums we've got on here, this one has the most not the most bangers, but the most banging bangers on it. Do you know what I mean? All below this, there's no album on it that's got like 3-4 tracks that are 11 out of 10 type vibe.
No, I disagree, but I think I know what you mean.
Not public appeal, but for wider appeal, they don't. If we're talking about numbers and statistics from a standpoint here. So I feel like maybe it is a bit high up on the list if we're going to try to keep it authentic of like, this is a list of like, these are the best of the best that nobody could ever touch type things, where it's like, I feel like if we came back in 5 years and redid this list, Konnichiwa would still be in it, but some of these other albums may not hold up.
Hold on. I feel like Skepta can top that album as well.
I was going to say he's made better albums, but they haven't had the same impact. And I feel like that's where me and Sean agree on this, is the impact.
The impact's incredible, though. That's the thing that I just... It really was a moment. It really was. Like
it's undeniable impact. That's the thing. That's why it's so high and why it's on this list. I feel like I try and avoid impact when I'm judging. Just because that's actually really personal and like momentary as well. But you can't avoid it with this album. It was massive.
Just thinking of things like, do you remember when Kanye played at the Brits and brought out all the
that was
crying people?
That was mad.
And obviously Shutdown came about kind of after that. But then I don't know if no one speaks about this. No one speaks about this. Do you remember when Good Music and Boy Better Know did a show in Camden? Together.
I can't remember that, man.
You need to go on YouTube and watch this. I'm talking back-to-back tracks. It was Good Music, and Kanye was there. It was good music in full, and Boy Better Know going back-to-back, playing a show at the Coco or something like that. I don't know why it doesn't get talked about more, but these are the things that were happening around that album. You got things like when he replied to what's his name, Devilman, and did Nasty. Do you remember that? The video where he's got like
that video
weird
is
blue
crazy.
room.
Yeah.
Man, there's so many things you could bring up.
Man.
and then we didn't talk about It Ain't Safe as well. That to me, when I first heard It Ain't Safe, I was like, this is exactly what I want to hear from a UK and a US artist. Mm-hmm. This was like the perfect alignment of sound. I just thought.
And Skepta's the only person to cross over properly. Like he's got songs with A$AP Rocky that still work and all this kind of stuff. You know
they all banged. They all banged.
All of them.
Our namesake, which is quite ironic that we're not technically named after this. The name, to be honest, let's explain this now. Me and Sean have been floating around with the name The Grey Area for a while, like for a long, long time. Since we went to Amsterdam, it's just been in our head that we should have some kind of show or thing or a blog that was called The Grey Area for the reasons that are stated in our introduction, which you guys obviously have listened to if you've made it this far. Yeah. But Little Simz.
I feel like this is our spirit album. Grey Area.
If you want to understand us, listen to this.
Sam, what do you think about it? Because you're the only one that didn't vote for it.
Do you know what's hilarious, right? I've seen her live, right? About 4 years ago now. I seen her live, and I thought this is an amazing rapper. Like, I hope she blows up, not knowing that she'd already blown up. I didn't know. Imagine I didn't know that was Little Simz. When I was looking at her, I was like, oh wow, you know what I mean? Like this girl here, you know what I mean? This girl here from London or whatever, she really deserves to pop off. And then I didn't realize that she had like a pretty decent track record behind her. Because I feel like when I saw her performing, she only had let me look at the track. Let me look at her discography here. Yeah, she only had A Curious Tale. Stillness in Wonderland hadn't come out, or it just come out, or something like that. So she hadn't really popped off. But I imagine Sean would have told me about her from before, because Sean's been hot on Little Simz for a little while now.
Yeah, I have, but it was never like, there wasn't, just for whatever reason, there wasn't an album that I was sitting with or that I loved. I think it just came down to timing. It was this one. It was this project where, for the first time, a body of work, I just kept on playing it over and over again when it came out, over and over again.
I liked this album, right? And if I had to rank it, it would be like an 8 or a 9. Like, it's a very, very good album. But you know what it is for me? I feel like she's got a better album inside her.
Yeah, that's interesting.
She has
but a lot of things came together to make this album really well. Like, it's so concise, and you hear the record she's made and collated, like this kind of like this punky world. She found this flow that she just basically repeats on all of the songs, and it's like she says it in the 101 FM. Like, I found the flow like Busta Rhymes or something like that. Like, this is her moment. She's saying where like she's found her formula that's perfect.
And I want to say this as well. People need to get out of this mind state of like, oh, female rappers and male rappers. It's like, no, she's just a rapper. And this is
can we agree? Can we agree on that? Like, we never do that. We never.
We don't do this because I just look at this like an album. Yeah, I just look at this as an album. I don't. There's no difference between female rappers and male rappers. There's just rappers and rappers. If you just want to put it like that. And this album's solid because
out of all the new school people, this is amazing.
Yeah, because her flow is so gravitating. Even like you said with Kieran, that she's found I don't know. You just gravitate towards that flow, and the whole vibe throughout this project is just it's just amazing. It feels so polished to me. It's just the sound, everything, the way she just gets into her pocket like a quarterback gets into her pocket, and they just know they're there. They own it. They can see everything there, and she's just in her lane, and she knows what she's doing, and that's the vibe that you get.
Kendrick co-signed her. Like, out of all UK rappers, he co-signed her.
Yeah, because she's an artist.
The one he's listening to.
It's not about being a great bar. This is the thing with Dizzy's, right? He's a great bar. He's a great rapper. Same with Chip, great bar, a great rapper. But it's like, are you an artist? Can you? Because I don't remember. I think Shaw might have said it, or maybe even Kieran said it. 10 tracks, in and out. Do you know what I mean? In and out. She gives you the vibe. You get the vibe. You understand who she is. You don't have any questions or qualms about what she sounds like or what she's capable of. But like, for Kendrick to co-sign her, that shows you that one of the best current people over there is seeing what we're doing over here and going, well, this person's at the top, really. If you want to talk about who's at the top. But for me personally, the reason why I didn't put this in my top 10 is because I never sat with it. And, you know, for various reasons that I won't get into, I didn't sit with it. But it's just like, for me, it's definitely a great album. It's just not in my personal top 10. But it could easily be, you know, in my top 20. Quite easily. Quite high up in the top 20 as well.
Yeah. But Kieran, I'm going to go back to something you said, where you said it was like, it felt like her moment. I remember the first time I heard it, and I'm listening, just kind of getting into the first track. And then when she said, I'm Jay-Z on my bad day, Shakespeare on my worst day, I went, oh my God. Okay.
Yeah,
we are in for something. It's so simple, but it's just so braggadocious. It's like, I am the shit. And now I'm about to show you.
Do you know what the problem is? Her moment coincided with, like, I mean, beep his name, but it coincided with biggest moment as well.
You ain't got the answers, man. You ain't got the answers. You ain't got the answers. You ain't got the answers, Sway.
This is one of the reasons why I don't like. I'm like, damn, he's like overshining this artist that is so much better than him as a rapper, as an artist. They're the same age, they're contemporaries, right? It's this generation of rappers, and she's not number one because of him. I was pissed.
Wait, hang on. Hang on. So when you say he got in the way, in what sense? She dropped her album, beginning of 2019? And he drops his end of the year. So what do you mean?
what about first album? I feel like that was living over her kind of like buzz as well. Like, I don't think she ever got that number one spot for a UK rapper because was living in that for the past few years.
But is it a question of popular music versus like amazing music? Because
no, this is the thing. I'm saying if like Grammys was like what UK rapper deserves best new artist, they would give it to instead of Lil Sims, and that pisses me off because I feel like
it doesn't make any
she's
sense,
so sick.
It doesn't make any sense from an objective standpoint. It just makes a sense from a numbers standpoint, which is not
literally
not making sense.
Yeah, I get you now, Kieran. I thought you meant that. So because I remember when this came out, it was like March 2019. I thought you meant drop something around that time and overshadowed it. But what you mean is his buzz was just so high.
It's his era.
There was so much focus on him. Exactly. Okay, yeah. But then I'm also thinking, Sam, you said it as well. She's an artist. She's never going for number one. She's never going for the high sale. She's making great bodies of work. Do you know what I mean?
think for this album, that's what she actually was gonna do because she made that track "Selfish" and it did blow up as well. But I don't know. I just feel like she was going for it for this album.
"Selfish" is the highest streaming track on, and that track, like you said, did blow up massively, and it's a great track. And like you said, it was no, it's like the same for me. It is my least favorite. I've got noticeable tracks that I've made in my notes, and it didn't even make noticeable tracks for me because my noticeable tracks are Offense, Boss, Wounds, Sherbet, Sunset. Those songs hit me hard.
What about Pressure as well?
No, Pressure. Yeah. To be honest, I could put most of the album, Kira, but I was trying to nitpick. But yeah. Oh,
Sherbet Sunset is mad.
It's just madness, man.
Do you know what as well though? What I realised with this album is it plays really well in other settings as well. So Kieran, do you remember probably like a couple of years ago now, I came to that film festival that you were involved in, and before one of the films started, Flowers played. And I remember, I don't know if I was sitting next to you at the time. I was definitely not talking to anyone. And that song was playing and I was just lost. I'm at this public event waiting for a film about God knows what. And that song comes on. And to be fair, Michael Kiwanuka, his voice is incredible. But that song was just, I think I'm chatting shit to be honest. But I just like that song is one of my favourite songs from this country in a lot, UK rap wise in a long time. There's just something about it, the atmosphere. As an album closer as well. Love it, man.
Are you saying it came on your headphones or like out loud?
No. So music was playing in the speakers before the film started. It came through the speakers. Not loud, it was just kind of in the background. But it came
at the Barbican. That's crazy.
Yeah, at the Barbican. So it's this different setting, waiting for a film, and it comes on and I'm like, oh my God. But the album had just come out around that time as well, so it was all pretty fresh. But yeah, love that song.
So,
well, moving on from Little Sins and the grey area, great artist. Let's talk about a progression of a rapper to an artist. Gets Conflict of Interest. Now, this is coming at number 2. But
can we just plug really quick? If you haven't listened to our review, listen to the review because we say a lot about it in that.
Yeah, 100%.
Put some respect on my name.
But yeah. Essentially, Sean thinks that this is too soon for this to be in a top 10 list. And I would like to say it would be criminal to leave it out. Even though it's only just come out not this month, but you know what I mean? Recently, I think it would be criminal to leave that album out, man. Absolutely.
I completely agree.
I don't know why Sean didn't include it.
Yeah, no, it's got to be in this top 10.
No, I think he's asking the question. He's asking the question
Ridiculous.
Because it needs to be asked because it's so fresh. Are we sure this is a top 10 album? And for it to come in at number 2, maybe it's a bit high because the gas is a bit high. But for what it is,
I don't even think the gas is high though, man. Because I listened to it today and it is just unbelievable.
Mozambique.
Yeah, exactly. It's the transition. It works so well. It's like I will still hold. Like if you go and listen to the review, I will still say the same thing. This thing feels like you're in a movie. It's like a cinematic experience. It still feels like that. How am I going to find wine and this thing is still gassing me more than when I first listened to it? Like this album is getting better and better for me. Like
it's got one of the most seamless album progressions I've heard in a long time in rap music, where I didn't realize it was a new track. I thought it was the same track still going on. Do you know what I mean? So to answer what?
So Sean, why?
Yeah, I was about to say.
I don't want to say too much because we said a lot during the review. But it's that middle section for me. It's the middle section and the transition sort of from that middle section into the final part. It's like I said before, the first two tracks are flawless. There's a very strong opening. There's tracks in the middle that are noticeably not on the same level as the others. And for me, it's just the thing. I need to live with an album longer. This is still very much. I mean, how long has it been out? A month. You know, I'm still kind of living in the early stages of it. It's going to be it could be a different album in a year's time, in 5 years' time. We don't know. I'm just, and like I said, it may enter a top 10 for me within that period of time. But at the minute, I just can't really do it.
I had to put it in. Like I literally felt like it would be rude not to put it in. But at the same time, what I'm saying about it is, because I hear what you're saying about it, is it's too soon. It's like, out of all the albums on this list, what could I listen to in 5 years' time and still get gassed? It's most likely going to be Conflict of Interest, man.
Oh, 100%.
And it's not because there's nothing to do. It's not like I have a moment like where you said you had that moment with Little Sims where you listened to Flowers and it, it took you to a different place. I don't have any like memories attached to it. It's just really good music. Like really, really good music.
But you don't have those memories yet because you've not lived with it long enough. You might have those memories in a year's time.
I feel like by now,
years' time.
if the world was open, by now I would have gone to some party or gone to some event and I would have heard it play and I would have been like, this is a gas. Do you know what I mean? This is a gas.
Yeah.
I'm just gassed off of it solely alone.
For me, though, it's the sheer fact that I still remember where I was when I listened to this album, and that does not happen a lot for different albums. I know once that happens, it's a great album. Great album. I only remember where I was for great albums. Some albums that I don't know, I don't care for a lot, or it was great or decent. I don't remember. Like I couldn't tell you where I was for Slow Tie's album. I'm not gonna lie to you, but I could tell you where I was for this one, and it says it. It says it.
Fair enough.
No,
in a
you're
nutshell,
right.
really.
And someone, I think Kieran compared it to Good Kid, Mad City in that sense, which is one of the most vivid first listens I've ever had to an album in my life. That was, God, I can remember like almost every track.
I can remember what socks he was wearing and everything.
I swear, Sean, you took a sandwich break halfway through or something.
I did. I went and got food. Got halfway through, did a big quint. I went and got some like sandwich and some grapes or something like that.
LOL.
Yeah, man, that was a big night. That was just me on my own in my room.
But not to graze over what this album has done. It's the only album in this list that's charted that high.
Is it really?
Yeah. None of these have been top two or number one, have they?
Ooh,
we might need to check this, but I feel like I'm not speaking out of turn here.
I think you might be right.
What about Konnichiwa though? Surely
Konnichiwa would have been.
It was not that high. It was definitely. Might have been top 10, but it wasn't because it would have been more of a moment otherwise.
Oh, because it was more singles.
It won Mercury Award. It won a whole bunch of shit, but it did not. It did not do what this has done.
Sorry, I know we're going back to it just very quickly. Why is it called Konnichiwa?
Does it matter?
I have no understanding. The song is sick though, so it's like fair enough. You named the album after the song, and like his website is Hello Skepta, so I feel like Konnichiwa's hello.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Konnichiwa's hello.
I remember hearing that sword at the beginning, the samurai sword, thinking like, what are we in for here? And how are these singles going to fit in? And then there was just kind of no other.
I feel like it's just it's just a throwaway thing. There's no real kind of like thought put into the name. It's like this is the most banging track.
Wait, I think it's because it says introduction to the world, surely, like to American market.
Don't do
like
that.
Konnichiwa world.
Don't do that.
That's what I think it is.
Don't do that, man.
Let's
not give it meaning it doesn't have.
To bring it back, it looks like it hit number 2. And this is why I was saying this? I thought I'm pretty sure. Yeah, I'm looking at
it. I'm seeing UK albums
charts.
But what's OOC? Official. Okay, it hit number 2.
Yeah. So I'm, this is why I asked before. Like, this was Gets' album the biggest moment since this, because I wouldn't put Gets'. It's not a moment on the level of Konnichiwa, because Konnichiwa was like kind of almost 3 years in the making. But Konnichiwa definitely, from looking at that, it charted very high as well. So,
but give Conflict of Interest some time. I guarantee it's going to win a whole bunch of awards.
Conflict of Interest is number 1 on the R&B charts in UK.
Yeah, that's how they rank rap music. They put it in the R&B chart. I don't know why.
This is why I only really pay attention to the main charts, because the way, and I feel like this with awards as well. The way they categorize things is just off. I don't like it. I don't like it
It's
at all.
like Tyler said.
And then sometimes I don't even like it. Yeah, and I don't even sometimes like it to be categorized. But anyway, that's another conversation, I reckon. But yeah, I get why you've put it in here with Gets. I do get it. I'm not. It's not wild to me, but yeah, for me, I'm just one of them people. I need more time.
It's arguably the best rapping performance on this whole list, though, other than our number one spot. I think.
Yeah, I was going to say yeah.
And out of all of our
other
lists,
than that one,
it's the most representative of the scene from back then till now. Do you know what I mean? Because I remember you guys were even saying it had G-Funk elements.
Yeah.
Whereas the rest of these albums have like a consistent theme of like this is sounding like this and this is doing like this. But this album goes all the way back and all the way.
Errors.
You know what I mean? Yeah, all the way till now.
Definitely.
I had a thought about the G-Funk bit. I had a little think about it the other day when I was listening to it, and I don't know whether you will agree or not. I feel like, did the G-Funk elements get put in there because in those songs, it seems like he's rapping from a younger perspective or like from an earlier time in his life. And perhaps he was listening to Snoop and Dre and people like that at that time. And that's why it was put into the songs.
That's sick.
I think it could be that. Yeah. I like that, man. Wow. Yeah, I might have to listen to that album again later tonight.
Oh, well, I listened to it today, man. The album still bangs. That's all I'm saying.
Jesus.
So powerful.
Strap on the lap. Like a serviette.
Hoodies all summer.
Ooh,
I'm gonna let you guys go away with this one because for me it's a great album, but it's not. I mean, it's not the best.
Can we just play 3 years later quickly just to get into the vibe?
Yeah, man.
Just play the whole album just like before.
Oh man.
Best crime song ever. That's all I'm saying. No cap.
That's not what you asked for. That's not what you asked for. I was just trolling.
Effecto.
A very strong opening to a very good album. 100%.
Oh, good. When I first heard him say "vroom vroom" running up the A40, I went mad. I was like,
let's be honest. I lived in it. No, to be honest, it deserves number one. Out of all the criteria we've laid out of barring and cohesive themes and moments and this and that, it hits all of those on a 10 for me. It's unfortunate the podcast didn't exist back then. Do you know what I mean? Because we would have given this a 10. Or maybe Sean would have gone, is it too soon for a 10? Because, this album is quite new. I need to sit with this album for 2 years before I can give it a 10,
I was going to say, I felt like this album had an instant community impact because of the subject matter that it was tackling. I noticed it in I was running workshops in some community center for creative things, and they were just handing out the CD to people for free and stuff like that. So wow. I just knew it was a moment for affecting kids growing up and stuff like that will want to listen to just rap music and stuff. It was a different moment than any of these other albums have ever tried to be. It was a community moment. Even the cover up with the whole hands in the middle thing, everyone's done that. Do you know what I mean? Everyone knows that feeling, but it's I feel like your album artwork definitely tells you a lot about what you're about to hear. And this album just it hits in that regard of it's a community album. It's full of community.
Yeah. I didn't know that, Kieran. Obviously that's your experience, but that's quite powerful. I didn't,
That is very powerful. But that's what this album does.
Yeah, meanwhile, me and Theo over there throwing our laptops around to class of Deja. Kieran's living in history right there.
That's madness, yeah. I mean, I think that he's saying so much on that first song alone, so much game. And then throughout the whole album in general, there's just, even if they're not moments in terms of higher numbers and topping charts and winning awards, there was just I don't know, this had a feeling. You can't really put it into words. Sitting there listening to that now, that's probably the 100th time I've heard that song, and I get goosebumps every single time.
I get goosebumps throughout this album. It doesn't even need to hit numbers. I get goosebumps throughout this album because I don't even care about the numbers. I feel sorry for Kano because this is such an amazing body of work and it deserves more respect and more numbers. for it, but it's like I said, that level that he just maintains it throughout, because I can't see a single song on this track that, for me personally, drops. I'm sorry, he maintains that level, that whole vibe and everything, and what he's saying and the subject matter and how powerful this will be for kids growing up from where he came from. Like, it's just huge, everything. And the thing is, what I get from it as well, listening, especially like having lived in East Ham and in East London, when I listen to this album, I feel as if I'm there with him. Like and that's the thing. And so many kids growing up can relate to that. And the message he's sending across is just perfect. So for me, this album's so powerful and it has to be number one.
Yeah.
So
the level of care he put into the artistry of it as well, like the sound choice that's in basically like every track has this like vocal sample in it that glues every song, and it hits every song as hard as the last one. You can't really pick a favorite. It's really difficult. No wasted lyrics either. Like, he knew he had a good message and he packaged it as good as possible. Like, this is the guy that got co-signed by Jay-Z when he came out, and Jay-Z at the top of the game as well. So that was a big moment as well.
Once again, all the criteria we've spoken about, this is concise. I feel like if you're going to try and make a great album, limit yourself to 10 tracks, because anything more than 10 tracks and you're going to do too much. But when I say 10 tracks, I don't mean none of this 2 minute, 1 minute, it hits type bullshit. It's like, no. 3 minute songs minimum, realistically pushed to 4 and 5 minutes, 10 tracks. And you'll get there. Do you know what I mean? You'll get there if you do it right, because with the limitation comes a level of creativity which can make a cohesive body of work. You can't just put 10 bangers on an album and say that's a great album. But this, it's not even, the only real banger on here is Class of Deja. And it's like, that's an eternal song, mate.
And that song's going to be playing 10 years from time and I'm still going to get gassed and stuff. It's just, I'm telling you, that song, I just feel like I'm in East London. That's the sound of East London. I'm sorry.
Video as well.
It captured something.
The videos, man.
If you could bottle up grime and put it in a bottle, that is what Class of Deja is. Every time they perform it, it's going to be that energy. And the thing is, they can't perform that song without all three of them there. So what's the point?
Oh, no. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
And when I was re-listening to that again, because obviously a big part of it is D-Double as well. And when you listen to any of the top grime rappers talk about their favorites or the best, they always say D-double-E.
Yeah.
And then when I think about it, I go, because there was a period in time, and I don't want to disrespect him because he is one of the greats, where I was thinking he couldn't make a body of work like this, D-double-E.
No,
he's not that kind of rapper. But then I realized but then I thought back to grime in its earliest days and grime in its kind of in its essence and where it works best. And we're talking about pirate radio, we're talking about, raves, clashes and whatnot. D-double-E is the master of the reload. Master. And that is why I don't think people want to clash him. It's because as soon as he goes, or like, does his little thing, you're fucked. You can't do anything. You can't do a thing. And that's why I was so glad on that song he had the hook and nothing else. Because how can you compete with that back and forth?
Giving him a verse,
how can you compete?
Giving him a verse would have ruined that song. And I feel like that's one 100%. Thing. I think D-double-E is very conscious of what he's good at. Now, where he's good at choruses or just doing his little thing where he's doing his ad-libs and whatever, that in and of itself is an art form. Because Lord knows where that sound came from and the but thing. Wherever that came from is where it came from. But it's like, I think he's very aware of the fact that he's never gonna blow up, but he's the best at what he does for grime, because he's never tried to make anything outside of grime, and more power to him for not doing that and not trying that and ruining himself with that.
Like, am I right in thinking I can't think of any big name that has ever sent for him?
They can't.
I can't think of anyone. There might have been some smaller names at the time that the real grime heads will know about, but I can't think of anyone that got into it with D-double-E. Not a single one.
I don't think. Is there a point?
No.
It's like you said.
Like I said, as soon as he goes, but no, stop.
Get out.
Get off the stage.
Go home.
Let him crack on.
Think about this. Have a pot noodle and think about this.
I tell you what my moment is, though. Pot noodle. I tell you what my moment on this album, though, is the beat switch on Teardrops.
Yeah.
That for me
that's so,
is one of the most, because of what he's saying as well, the powerful lyrics and then the way it just switches up. Oh my God.
When we did the battle, Kano versus Skepta, that's why I chose that as my first tune, because I wanted to set the level really high. I think that is probably his best like record he's ever written and rapped on.
I'm not mad at that. It's probably my favourite. I mean, look, I'm obvious bait choice. P's and Q's is just eternal classic. You can't,
Yeah.
But yeah, Teardrops is probably my favourite song. And he also has top 3 uses of Suck Your Mum ever in grime history. He's in no particular order. It's, performing Suck Your Mum on Jules Holland for Kano. It's the end of Dizzy Rascal's Just a Rascal, where the kid's going to suck your mum or something like that. And then there's recently JME. What does he say? Suck your mum at the speed of light. Oh my god.
Oh, that line.
Top 3. That's the top 3 suck your mum moments in grime.
Oh,
I mean, I was wondering, do we have time to kind of discuss, is 2019 the greatest year for UK rap albums? You said Dave Psychodrama.
Name the albums.
Dave Psychodrama, Slow Tie, Nothing Great About Britain, Jamie Grime MC, Little Simz, Grey Area. I'm sure we're missing a few that came out around that
Hoodies
time.
All Summer was also that year.
Yeah.
So,
Strong.
is it the greatest year for UK rap albums? So far, yeah. But I feel like we haven't had
I'd say so.
We're in our silver age. We're not in our golden age yet. Our golden age is to come in this decade for sure.
No, definitely big time. Big time.
Yeah, you might be right,
Yeah. It's coming.
But yeah, I just felt like that album in terms of bodies of work, I can't remember a year with that many. And it's not even just the level, it's the variety. Like you had something, I always say this, is Kano's Hoodies All Summer is where I didn't know it until I heard it, but that is where I wanted grime to go. It's where I wanted it to evolve to. It was just like the perfect, it's what you want to hear from a guy at that age doing grime, mixing these other influences in. Perfect.
It's like what he did with Made in the Manor, where he's like, it dropped that year, right? And we were like, this is setting the bar for what grime albums should be. And it like, in 2019, he done it again, but he set the bar even higher this time.
Yeah, exactly. And he probably got overshadowed a little bit in 2016 because Skepta was just so huge at that point. It just culturally was just everywhere. And then you had Little Simz, who's arguably made the greatest UK hip hop album of all time, arguably. And then you've got Slow Tie doing his thing, which you can't really put in a box. I don't really know what you would call Slow Tie. Then there's JME, who made a solid grime album.
One that tells you it's grime on the face. Do you know what I mean? From the jump, you're like, this is meant to be grime music. And I feel like a lot of people shy away from saying the word grime because it's got like all these weird connotations with it. But JME has never shied away from that.
Yeah. And then last but not least, and I know we have our different opinions on Dave, but to make a UK rap album or a mainstream UK rap album on that level, I just felt I can't think of a year that was as good as that, really.
I can't, to be honest with you. This is absolutely solid year.
Okay, so we've got to finalise this order then. Do we think we need to move anything around?
No, I don't think so. I don't. I think it's got to stay how it is. Yeah.
Nah. I say we just leave it how it is. I say we just leave it how it is because we've all done our own list separately, and this is what it's come out as. This is to move stuff around now would upset everybody in different ways. Because common sense belongs at the top.
Yeah, it might kick off. But just to clarify though, like with I said it earlier on, I think when you were at the room, Sam. Hoodies All Summer is my favourite of all time. That's my personal favourite UK rap album. Boy in a Corner is just what I think, if you take everything into consideration, is number one. But Hoodies All Summer is my favourite.
I don't have a favourite UK rap album yet. That's why I said at the beginning, I was the only person that named my whole list, but my list doesn't really have an order. It's just, I believe these 10 albums you could listen to in 10 years' time, and there's 10 years from now, 10 years from then, you know what I mean, 30 years from now, and you get a gist of what our music is back then and now.
Fair enough.
But your list is definitely the most comprehensive. Between you and Kieran, you've got some of the best back then, some of the best back now. Some of it won't slap the same in the future, but yeah. Theo's list is definitely the aggregate of all three of our lists. I feel like there's a lot more thought that's gone into Theo's than all of ours.
Yeah, I don't know about, because mine and Kieran's were quite similar. Mine was an attempt. You can't not be biased. Like there's always going to be a bit of bias and
always
preference. But I tried to make something general and objective. Tried to. Like for instance, when it comes to the streets, I actually prefer Grand Don't Come for Free. Like it's just like a little movie. I love it every time I listen to it. There's songs in there that are jarring. Don't get me wrong, and that's why I didn't put it in there, because musically, there's a couple songs in there that are hard to listen to.
Really,
but if I want to sit down and like get into the story, it's great, man, and it makes me laugh out loud to this day as well. He's so funny in it. Some of the lyrics.
Just to recap the list, tied at number 10 is Kalashnikov, The Sagas of, and Common Sense by J Hus. At number 9, we've got original Pirate Material by The Streets. Number 8 is Boy in the Corner by Dizzy Rascal. Number 7 is Arula by MIA. Number 6 is Brand New Secondhand by Root Maneuver. I don't know how to say that name properly. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I think it's that. I think you got it.
Carla by MIA at number 5. Konnichiwa by Skepta at number 4. Grey Area by Lil Sims at number 3. Shout out for the name. Conflict of Interest by Gets at number 2. And Hoodies All Summer by Kano at number 1.
Put some respect on my name.
Woody Bop Pop.
This is the Grey Area Podcast, talking all things rap and hip-hop from the UK to across the pond. The facts are black and white, but our opinions are somewhere in the middle. We're about the music, not the gossip. Positive more than negative. Quality over quantity. Substance is worth more than clickbait.